Welcome to the podcast about investing in startups, where existing investors can learn how to get the best deal possible, and those that have never before invested in startups can learn the keys to success from the venture experts. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome back to TFR for a special installment of Investor Stories. In this segment, the investors tell a story about some of the most odd and unusual situations they've ever encountered as investors. This is the segment called The Strange and Unusual. On today's special segment, we have Madhavan Ramanujam. Madhavan, can you tell us the most fascinating or unusual story that you've encountered working in the venture space?
Yeah, I think there's many, but one that comes to mind is probably the case of Evernote. I don't know if you know, but back in 2014, Business Insider had framed Evernote as the first dead unicorn. One of the key issues on the table was, the low conversion of free users to paid products. I mean, they had basically landed a lot of customers, but not necessarily expanding those relationships. In 2016, I think we kind of worked with Evernote to redefine their pricing, packaging, and paywall strategy. I think they put in place a usage-based paywall, which means that free users could still use Evernote, but only across 2 devices. For access to 3 or more devices, you now need to be in a paid version. They changed their packaging a bit, and they even increased prices. The results were fascinating and dramatic. I think over the last year, they've probably doubled the number of paid users. They posted their strongest financial quarter. But most importantly, I think they're now cash flow positive. They're in the black. And I think that position now allows them to invest their profits in making their products even better, even cooler, and provide the right value and experience to their customers. I think it's a fascinating turnaround story. I think one that many unicorns can take a cue from. I think most unicorns are probably hoping that they would, make money at the end of the day, truly not knowing if they will. And I think focusing on how to actually do that is fundamental.
I'm a huge fan of Evernote. I'm actually looking at Evernote right now as for my interview template to walk through these questions.
Great product. Yeah.
On today's Investor Story segment, we have Guy Turner of Hyde Park Venture Partners. Guy, can you tell us a story about the craziest situation you've encountered and or the craziest pitch you've heard as your time as a venture investor?
Yeah, so I've had, you know the basic numbers for VCs, but we probably take, 1,000 meetings or more, a couple thousand meetings a year with something like 600 to 1,200 companies. So over 6 years, that's a lot, right? You're talking like 5,000 companies or something like that, maybe more. I've had 2 meetings that I will never forget with entrepreneurs, founders who I am convinced were on cocaine.
Oh my God.
And and I don't, I haven't really ever, just to be honest, never been to a party where I knew people were doing cocaine. So I don't really know what it's like when people are on cocaine, except from the movies, but I'm pretty sure that's what was going on here. And so in one case, I sat down and there were 2 of them and, we were having this conversation. One of them was very normal. And the other guy, who unfortunately for this founder happened to be his brother, the other guy got up and started walking around and essentially ranting. And that was quite an experience. We did not invest in that company. And then there was another case where something similar happened. And, look, I think that's part of I feel bad for those guys, but it's part of what's interesting about being a VC is that you wake up every morning, you have a whole bunch of meetings. People are going to come in and tell you about cool industries you knew nothing about. And it's totally unscripted. You literally don't know what's going to happen. And that's actually a really fun part of it. So not to make light of anybody's narcotics problem.
Jeez. Did you track what happened with the startup?
Yeah. So neither of them have really gone anywhere. Put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we had Lyndall Ekman on the program, and he told a somewhat similar story about...
Oh, really?
A first meeting. So the point that he was making was that at a first meeting, the information that the founders divulge can indicate kind of what type of people they are and if there's boundaries and if they know how to be respectful. And he mentioned a case where at the first meeting, the founder was talking about the hash they were doing and some drug bender that they went on, and big red flag for him that, maybe 5 meetings deep over a couple beers, like somebody, gets into more of their personal life and some of their experiences. But at a very first meeting, it's a tricky road when you're trying to make a good impression.
Yeah, fair enough. Although, to be honest, I would value that transparency because then I know I don't need to waste more time on it.
Love it. On today's special segment, we have Yoav Leitersdorf of YL Ventures. Yoav, can you tell us a story about the craziest situation or pitch you've encountered?
Sure. I mean, we're investing in cybersecurity, and so, it's not, this is not consumer tech where you're, where you're gonna, and we did look at drones for a little bit and virtual reality for a little bit and saw some crazy stuff there. But I think what I call crazy in our cybersecurity world is in our world is how fast we move with entrepreneurs and some of the stories about how quickly we need to build a relationship with those entrepreneurs. With Axonius, a company we invested in about 6 months ago, we met through a mutual friend while I was in Tel Aviv at the time. They came pitched us in my hotel room actually, and we started a very quick due diligence process. I ended up returning to the States within about a week. I flew all the founders over here, took them out to dinner, and the wacky thing was that I didn't know I was hoping, but didn't know whether that dinner was going to lead to an investment or a signed term sheet. But I did have in the back of my pocket a copy of the most recent draft of the term sheet as it's been negotiated by the lawyers. And I basically just took out, it was actually 2 copies. I took them out of my pocket, borrowed a pen from the waitress.
No shit.
And we ended up signing the term sheet right there in the restaurant. Yeah, so that was a really cool story. I love it when we move fast with entrepreneurs and when we're able to develop relationships very quickly. And a lot of that boils to stuff that has nothing to do with technology or the market potential. It really has to do with people. So actually one of my favorite aspects of this job is all the people aspects, basically the bonding with people, sometimes very quickly, sometimes within a week or two, getting to a point where you can really partner with someone. And I always say this is not like marriage. With marriage you can always get divorced. It's actually quite simple. When you back a startup, you can't divorce. The only way to get out is if somebody else buys your shares or something like that, and it's an illiquid market. So there's no divorce in startup land.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big commitment for these founders and for us.
That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.